excited about being on time.
That makes sense, though.
Passionate punctuality.
Yeah, Josh is not on passionate punctuality. What up, dog? How you doing,
man? How's it going?
Good, baby?
Great to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's
How you
good?
doing?
What's up, dog?
Doing.
That's you over here.
Oh, thanks. My bad.
You went straight to Louisiana first, huh?
I feel like it's because I didn't know where to go. So I was like, yeah, this is at least familiar.
You
mean?
sized him up quick so you can run through him.
No,
if you were a baller.
I really can't run through anyone. That's like why I've chosen to go the route I've gone.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm finna get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
Man, Josh Johnson, man, we're so excited to have you. I mean, we aren't Jimmy Kimmel, you know, but we are excited that you're sitting with us. This is Fred Taylor and Ryan Clark, Shannon Crowder, Pivot Fam. Thank you all for pivoting with us. And I think it's really cool. One, I love the suit on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm a suit guy. I love the suit. But Channing was even talking about your social commentary, the things you say about what's going on in the society, the ways you approach politics. I want to ask you about what has started to be the censoring of America, right? You were on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy was suspended for a quick spell for some of the things that he's saying. When you look at sort of the assault on free speech, how difficult is that for someone like you, where your line of work is all about being able to express yourself about the things that are going on?
I think most of it is cyclical. So even though like each thing that happens is like sort of unprecedented in the specific instance that it's happening, like an FCC chair or like the president specifically saying this show should be off air or something like that. You look at McCarthyism or you look at like any sort of like Red Scare era and some of that same stuff was happening. So there's always been a sort of crackdown off and on like left-wing speech and politics and everything. And it's interesting because then whenever more like conservative-leaning powers are like in the majority, there's always a claim that the same thing is happening, but you'll like things that they say are the same are really, that's when it's actually like this private company not wanting to work with this person or something like that. And it's not so much the FCC chair sort of like not even lightly threatening, just like actually threatening. I think it makes all sorts of speech more important, but there's a real like pendulum swing you have to be careful of, because whatever you try to stamp out or silence does end up making that thing more popular. The same way that it's like you're not supposed to smoke until you're a certain age, but then you'll see like teenagers be like, hey, do you want some of this? Because it's the thing you're not supposed to do. And so now if you're over here banning books or you're over here, you create a curiosity that could end up being its own backlash.
I mean, I think you saw it with Jimmy Kimmel, the views and the way people tuned in to his return, as opposed to the numbers of what he was accumulating before he was suspended. And, you know, you obviously got to be a part of that here, you know, now that he was in Brooklyn. What was that experience like for you? Because you're someone on a Daily Show or whatever it is that talks about a lot of these things. And it's almost like, hey, let's roll out Josh, someone who kind of stands on this side with me as we go to New York.
No, it was a very cool experience to go. I was very excited to go. And it was also nice to go because it was the first day that he was like fully back. Because then even like the Sinclair stations like, you know, reinstated him. They weren't like preempting his show or anything. So that's awesome to be back, and the energy in the audience for like the whole of them being back. At the end of the day, he's this late night comedy show. You wouldn't think that late night comedy would be the thing that stands in complete opposition to not being able to just like speak freely. Like you would think it would be someone who's out here as an activist or something, saying some very specific things that might be seen as inflammatory, and then the president or whoever says you can't say this type of stuff. The fact that it's comedy is wild. Yeah. Like the fact that it's the people who like you're only really kind of supposed to take seriously ever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I'm not even trying to hide behind that. Like, oh, I'm just joking. It's like sometimes I say things and I mean them, and sometimes those things are funny, the things that I mean. But I don't mean everything, and so it's wild that people are like, that's the guy who is going to stand in direct opposition to, you know, this like stepping on free speech or stand in the way of, you know, like this is going to be the first victim of a sort of hindering of free speech that'll just spread, you know?
Was it wild to go from being a writer at Fallon to actually sitting in the seat as a guest?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything's so gradual that, you know, I'm not gonna sound cocky like I'm like used to it or anything, but it does, because it's gradual enough, it starts to feel familiar before you experience it sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's a real blessing.
It seems like a tough place to navigate.
Sure.
And
yeah.
like, how does that work? When you write a joke or you put something together, you have to run it past somebody, you brought it to FCC, and do they know that? How does that work when you have something funny, but it's like, in this climate, we can't say this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I'd be interested in what you even feel about this. Like, I feel like I've kind of been going through that my entire life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're, when you're black in America, you gotta do your own self-editing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain point where it's like, you could say the thing plainly, just as you see it. And there was a time where that would get you killed. Then you can say the thing plainly as you see it, and then there's this time that it'll get you fired. Now you can say it plainly as you see it, and you could get in like some sort of trouble, or you could be on some sort of, not hit list, but like hit list of, these are the people saying the things I don't like and everything. So it's not, I don't know, at least in terms of having to self-edit, it's not really that different. It's just the consequences are so much less than like what people that came before me would have experienced. So I feel like that stuff, I think about it time to time. Like I think about if my YouTube channel is like ever in danger if I say the wrong thing, or if I, you know, whatever, but also to not do those things, to sort of like comply in advance is not doing anything that them taking things away from you wouldn't do.
I have a question, and this is really off the subject, and this is why it's the pivot. So I know DeMarvin pissed on you when you were 12 at a sleepover and blamed it on you, right? And you mentioned that being pissed on as a 12-year-old is like your boys pissing if you go to the club now.
Yes.
Channing, at least when we started the show
Who's
with
DeMarvin?
DeMarvin
Okay,
pissed.
look. Because he's given the story without the proper context. It wasn't on me. It was near me because he pissed the bed. We were at sleepover. He pissed the bed, so he did piss some of me, but he didn't piss directly on me. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
like this wasn't a standing up and then peeing on
like
me
a
and
urine
then I
assault.
didn't move. No. He pissed himself. I was an innocent bystander of the amount of piss he had in him. I was not like. The way, I hope you never have to defend me in court. The way that you were like, you know, you got pissed off. My man, oh no. Even as you were saying, I was like, what? And then when you said to Marvin, I was like, oh, okay, he's seen the set where I talk about, because no, the kid was a lunatic. The kid was like truly insane, but he pissed himself. I was slightly pissed by being next to him.
Okay.
And then, you know, he had already woken up. I wake up realizing there's piss. He woke up already staring at me, which is serial killer behavior. If you go piss the bed, people piss the bed. That's part of growing up, part of being a child. Rite of passage, you pee the bed a little bit. But to already be up and then in your piss clothes and staring at me, waiting for me to wake up to find out, is like, this is terrifying. There should be movies about that.
Y'all still cool?
We were never cool.
First off, they were sleeping in the loser spot anyway, Channing.
Yeah.
So they didn't get to sleep in the bed with the dude that threw the sleepover in his room.
Yeah.
They had a pallet in the living room, so they was already.
We weren't we were not in the in crowd of the sleepover. We were clearly the extras. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Chan just stopped pissing on himself recently.
I pee in the bed every now and again.
Now, is it a I don't feel like getting up, or is it an involuntary? Because you're being very calm about it.
Maybe a little too much to drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
That makes it, you said, oh, okay, like that makes it okay.
No. But once again, he is not doing any of us any favors. because if you told me, oh, he gets drunk and he pisses the bed, it's like, oh, okay, those two things go together.
Correlates. He doesn't
But
correlate.
you made it sound like he just pees the bed for fun.
Nobody pees the bed for fun.
I mean, DeMarvin did, I guess.
Hey, so do you think I would be better than some of the people who were part of the Young Thug trial?
As a witness?
No, if I was defending you, if I was a representative.
I don't know, man. I watched that trial, and I know y'all just talked to Young Thug and everything, and that trial for me was one of those things where I was like, it somehow felt like everybody's first day of doing court. Like the prosecutor, like everybody except Thug's lawyers were like seemed unprepared. Do you know what I mean? You would see because they would like stream some of it, and so you'd see clips from the case, and then you'd see the prosecutor say something where I'm like, did you get any sleep? And then there was the whole like RICO part of it, but then they didn't look into his finances for the longest. And I'm like, RICO's money, last time I'm not a lawyer, but like if I had a RICO case on somebody, I wouldn't then be like, we don't know how much he makes. That feels crazy.
Yeah, you can't be broke.
You can't pay for the getaway car.
No, because this is my thing. Okay, like let's say that's the scenario. You're over here, you paid for the getaway car. You supposedly did all this stuff. Allegedly you did all this stuff, and nobody bothered to see if your bank was Bank of America or Chase Bank. It doesn't seem like the state is trying to build the best case. Do you know what I mean? Like if the judge is like, well, where are the financial statements that you're alleging? And they're like, today? Because that's what it felt like. Every time you tune in, I was just like, this feels like they, admittedly, because I don't know, that entire county has had like some really high profile stuff, because I'm pretty sure the same jurisdiction that like Trump's case was under, you know? So it's like you have so many different things going on, and it just, I don't know, when the judge was fed up, I was like, okay, I guess that, like, the judge being like, I don't know why you've prosecuted the case this way. You are either completely incompetent or you are willfully trying to botch this case. It's like, the fact that she said that is so, I've never seen that anywhere other than like Law and Order SVU or something. Like, only on TV do you get a judge being so fed up that they just start talking to the prosecutor like a teacher. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, this your first time, ain't it?
When the judge left, I was like, are you allowed to leave? Like, the judge walked out. It was like, I can't today.
Tired, boss. Dog tired.
So I can only imagine, if you're Thug and you sit there watching the judge walk out, he's also got to be like, can I go? Like,
Did you ever feel like any part of that trial was like catfish crimes?
I mean, a bit, because this is my thing. I feel like as well-versed as the United States justice system is at like locking up black dudes, especially for crimes that are in like the sort of hip hop culture or anything like that. As good as the justice system is at that, to be this bad is like, it feels unprecedented. Do you know what I mean?
I know where you was going, though.
Yeah.
I know where you was going.
I actually wanted to, so Dale, y'all still close? Y'all were ever close?
No, we are not close at all. In fact, I hope we never meet.
But you tried that with Finnegan's. I'm from Louisiana, so I know what Finnegan's is.
Yeah.
You tried Dale went to Finnegan's and waited on you?
Several times.
Yeah, no, the point I wanted to make by even bringing that up was that you talked about catfishing the Klan. I thought was brilliant. Even from the beginning of it, when you said the Klan, they were maybe short on numbers for posting on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Saying we're recruiting, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then the way you ended it, being at a barbecue, at a cookout in white robes dripping barbecue sauce on them. So it started out being ridiculous from posting in Craigslist, which was stupid, to now at a barbecue event, having white robes on at barbecue event, being able to, you know, to mess them up, basically.
Yeah.
Where they look even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I just thought that whole bit was just brilliant
thanks,
from
man.
the
It's
front
also
to the
like, I don't know, you could probably speak to this as well, but it's just like, there is a weird thing with the racism that happens in the South because everyone is doing all the same stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not as if there's actually like worlds apart. It's like they are in theory and they are in like the creation of like the structures we have around us, but it's like at the end of the day, everybody's eating the same stuff. Everybody's doing mostly the same
In the
stuff.
same spots?
Yeah, yeah.
He bring Louisiana. I know a lot of Louisiana dudes, Louisiana rappers. You don't talk like them. You speak the Queen's English.
Oh. Yep.
Like what part of Louisiana do they talk like this? What?
He up north.
That's farther north? Because you don't talk like the dudes I know.
Apparently nowhere. Because even when I was growing up, I used to, work at restaurants and stuff, and then I would try to, whether it was take an order or like help somebody out with something, they would always be like, "Where are you from?" And I'd be like, "Here." And they're like, I don't know about that. But I grew up in Alexandria, which is like the very middle of the state, like Alexandria, Louisiana. And yeah, I guess I don't know. I really don't know. I just sound, I sound
like a white man. You joke about it. You sound like a white man. You have a great white voice. But you speak on a lot of black topics, and you're very, you're a strong activist. But it's weird to hear that voice talking the way you do.
It's not great over voicemail. You know what I mean? It is not ideal when you can't see me, and then it gets worse because two things are happening. Because I don't really curse often, and because when I get mad, it gets worse. It is, I've had to contend with it my entire life. Like let's say somebody's really made you angry, and then you call them, and then, you're leaving a voicemail. You're furious. You're very angry. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't even occur to me to curse often.
Can you give us somebody pissed Josh off, and now he's calling to tell you somebody stole your sweatshirt, which you wear every day anyway, right?
Yes.
And you're calling the place to tell them my sweatshirt is stolen. What would that voicemail or what would that call sound like?
I have been the victim of theft, and my personal effects are not in my possession. What are you gonna do to rectify the situation? Because I'm angry. And then that also comes with, because here's a question I have for all three of you. This is a thing that I think about a lot. And man, I do wish we had more time to talk because I could ask you about this all day. What is it like to be big?
You were bullied, correct?
Easily. Yeah. But I think about this all the time because I also at the same time feel like if I were your size, I'd be a problem. You know what I mean? Like I'm very polite. I'm very, you know what I mean? I try to take people's feelings into account and everything. And I think that is due to my weight class.
One thing being big, you don't say, I've called to look into my possessions.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to rectify this?
Yeah, 100%.
I would say the best thing is you walk in the room, you're not really worried about, you have no fear of anybody in the room.
What do you think about when you're not thinking about fear? That's another question I have, you know what I mean?
Are you often thinking about fear?
I'm not necessarily thinking about fear, but I have fear. And so, but to not have that fear, I wonder what I'd be thinking about.
This actually happens with my wife. Like we're walking up and it's some big dudes or like a big group of young white kids. That's my biggest fear, big group of white kids. Mm-hmm. But you walk up and I'm just walking down a dark alley. I just walk and she's like looking around because you don't feel like anybody's good. Like no one can take advantage of you.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, if you're walking, right, all three of y'all, big guys and everything, if you're walking and somebody does want a problem, are you Or afraid, because this means they're crazy.
In order to do what we did for a living, you gotta be a little throwed off anyway. And so I think when you see somebody who is that way, you're like, oh, I don't really care. Like you're not really processing the fact that that person's crazy because you feel just as crazy as they are. Honestly though, I can tell you pay attention to your size a lot because I'm actually not that big. Right? So like when people see me because of the way he talks about me on the show all the time, they're always like, damn, you're actually bigger in person than I thought. And I was like, that's just because Chan always tells y'all I'm small. But to him, I am, right? In the world we grew up in and lived in, I'm a smaller person. I'm a smaller player.
Look, this is size privilege if I've ever heard of it. It's like I'm actually not that big. This is like where a rich guy's like, I'm comfortable. Like, it's like no, you're a big man.
When did you start wearing this uniform? I wear a uniform too.
Oh, okay.
I wear the same exact thing every day, right? Unless I'm on TV or doing this show.
I'd say about like 2 years ago, and yeah, it's not always this same one. I have different gray hoodies. Some people think I only have one, and you can tell when they think that because they look at me like I'm not well. You know what I mean?
I thought you had multiple of the same.
Oh yes, I do have multiple of the same, but yeah, just some people think I only have one.
How about the socks?
I do change my socks. Socks is when I switch it up. I get adventurous with the socks.
That's adventure.
Yeah, you know, some
The olive.
The on clouds? How did the on clouds come about?
Yeah, okay, so the on clouds are because I can actually put an insole, and there was a little while where I had what I would call prescription shoes because my feet are, they have a special situation. So then the on clouds getting to be able to put the insoles that I need, now I don't need like prescription shoes.
What do you wear prescription shoes for?
My feet are all messed up. Like I got like, they're kind of flat, but then, I don't know, I think I might have weak foot bones. And so you have to have shoes that support extra. And so that's, the on cloud is the best right now.
Who was it, Steve Jobs, that said, geniuses don't have to think about what they're gonna put on?
Exactly. I mean, look, I guess I never thought about it too much. Like I have other clothes and I wear them sometimes. But for me, almost like the Steve Jobs thing, that's why I asked you the question about what you're thinking about when you don't have to think about things because you're big. You know what I mean? It's like his mind was able to be occupied by all these different things because he had to make one less decision about what he would wear. And you have to make less like sizing up decisions because you walk in and you're like smaller. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm like, okay, about my size, bigger, smaller, you know?
What if you walk in, you trying to grab something? You out there, you in the club trying to grab something. You don't want to spice up for him?
When he says grab something, he means get a date.
Sure. And it only hurts a little bit that you felt you needed to clarify. That was
I just saw your face.
No.
You know what? It's the voice. He
I didn't know it grabbed something computer.
Yeah. No, it did. But
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I appreciate the help. This hurts. You know what I mean? The last time I got hurt this bad, my friends, I didn't know everybody had a secret handshake, and so I'd walk in, everybody dapping each other up and everything, and then I walked in the room, and they had just finished with like, and then they saw me and they were like, how you doing? And I was like, they went to shake my hand like I was the police. Like that is brutal.
It's the Key and Peele skit.
Yeah.
Baby, you good?
But he's not white.
Yeah.
I think the voice does it, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Their eyes were open.
I think the voice does it.
Fellas, I done packed up the Tundra. Sunday Night Football been going hard.
Yeah.
I mean, and this week you got the Patriots and the Bills. I mean, you got one of the best teams in football with an MVP quarterback, and you got a young quarterback that's made strides that are tremendous with the new head coach. I am so excited about this matchup, and just like Toyota, I'm all in all season.
Yeah, RC, the Bills are the team to beat now. They the front runners now, what's going on in the NFL. I can't wait to watch this one.
And Toyota has a commitment to football that runs deep.
And Toyota, you know they locked in with the NFL. And they upping the ante. $500 Microsoft gift card. If you can just predict plays of the game, you know what it is.
Hey, so Toyota's all in with the Bills and the Pats, and they're all in with you. So get in the game. To get more details on how to enter, you can learn more at toyota.com/NFL.
It's all in all season.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Ends on February 8th, 2026. Open to legal residents of the 50 U.S. states and D.C. 18 and over. For complete details, how to enter, prizes, and official rules, visit www.toyotasgameDayGiveaways.com.
You more nervous walking the streets of Chicago or here in New York?
Good question. I think New York, because Chicago I got used to, and I was just like aware of my surroundings and everything. And I don't know. I feel like Chicago I was also like embraced in a way that I'll never forget. Grew up in Louisiana, I moved to Chicago, and I felt like I was embraced in Chicago in a way that made me super comfortable. Even when I knew I was in like a bad area. Even when like things would go down like day before, day after, I was somewhere and then I had to be there, whether it was because I had a show or I was just meeting a friend or something like that. I still felt like very like calm and comfortable. You know?
Not at any point in time you felt like the situation that happened or allegedly happened to Jesse Smollett when the big guys roped them off?
Yeah.
You never felt that you can be attacked that way?
I never felt that because I also don't go to Subway at 3 a.m. From the beginning of the story, I was like, Subway at 3 a.m. is code for something. You know what I mean?
Cold
Then when they have the body cam footage and everything, and the police walked in, and he's like, man, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but in my head, I'm like, to still be wearing the noose and be like, I just wanted y'all to see it, and then take it off. It's like, but man, what's happening right now?
That's
God,
weird.
what are you talking about? And then he also like, I think the biggest mistake besides doing it was the fact that he like kept adding to the story,
Right.
and it's like, just stop.
Right.
Especially if you get away with something, just stop. You know what I mean? Like leave it alone, and we'll all be like, all right, I hope they find those 2 other Subway enthusiasts.
That was there at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, at 3 a.m.
That's crazy.
You got to be going through it if you Subway though, because then you're part, like Subway is like tangentially part of this story. Because he's like, I was going to Subway, right? So anytime any corporate entity is mentioned, they think about how people are going to see them based off of the thing that's happening. So you already had Jared.
Jared was tripping.
Jared was in trouble.
You
Jared
already
was
had
tripping.
Jared. So now you also have people like, I was just trying to get some Subway at 3 a.m. Now you're in the mix of just nothing but terrible stories.
I also never knew it was open at that time.
I didn't know either. I don't think Jesse knew it was open.
Yeah.
He
Look,
just made
if
it
you
up.
come across a 24-hour Subway sandwiches, don't go in. I bet you they don't make the good bread at 2 a.m. I feel, you know what I mean? Like there's a certain time and place to get certain food. The same way
That bread's no longer fresh.
not only is it no longer fresh, but it's up there with, you remember when they started putting Subways in the gas station?
Yes.
And I was like, no, I'm not gonna have diesel lettuce. This was nothing but a bad idea.
To understand how non-confrontational you are, but you talk about a lot of people. Has anybody ever ran up on you? And you
Oh, my man, one of the reasons I think about size so much is I have been pressed in my life. Now, it hasn't been by anybody like notable or anything like that, but I go back and forth because sometimes I wish I was like a big guy and everything real strong and stuff. And then other times I'm like, no, God knew what size to make me, because if I was big, I'd be a problem. If I was a big man, I'd probably be pretty rude. I'd start telling everybody what I think all the time. This is the filter. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you are a certain size, you put all your thoughts through like a 5'8" filter. And then that 5'8" filter comes out, and it comes out as like, oh, excuse me, we're a little close. You stepped on my shoe. At 6 foot, there's no filter. At 6 foot, it's like, hey, get up off me, right?
You do realize that like even 6 foot is not that big.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's huge to 5'8".
How much do you weigh?
I'd rather not say.
Cause that's more of the problem.
It is.
Weight class is an issue.
Yeah, it is a bigger part of the
160.
problem. That's
Yeah.
fair. But
Okay,
yeah.
so my question though, and this is, again, just me just paying attention to you. I mean, I think I reached out to you a while back.
Yeah.
You know, just to connect, just because I thought the things you said were both funny and the storytelling was fascinating.
Thanks, man.
The way you touched on these different things that people are dealing with. You spoke about the lessening of the humanity in people, right? And how people use that in order to, whether it's enact these agendas or policies or treat you or see you a certain way as less humane. Why does that seem to be so prevalent now?
I think you get most of your, if you're speaking specifically about capital, you get most of your advantages through the exploitation of someone else's labor. If you can get a ton of people to be working towards this one cause that benefits you, that's going to be way more beneficial and easy to build up an empire rather than just inventing something or having this great idea for a new service. Those things are harder to come by, and they're even harder to get people to understand if an idea is completely new. A good example is we still have slavery through the 13th Amendment. You know, like when you are a prisoner of the state, you are property. You're not seen as a person, and your labor can be utilized in every which way. So you see even some of these southern states where the labor is actually used towards corporate interests, right? So now if I can speak out against that thing, but then the people who are for it don't necessarily say, look, our profit margins are crazy, we gotta keep doing this. They say, why do you care what happens to somebody who did this, and this crime? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because then that way, if you can just see them for their crime only, then any amount of treatment, any manner of behavior towards them will be passable. You know, whether it's the conditions in the prison or that it's a for-profit prison who maybe even has some sort of side deal with a judge or something, or if you can get people, and we'll just speak specifically about prison for a second as an example, if you can get people to look at people like they deserve whatever happens to them, then whatever you do to your benefit to those people it'll be easy to do.
That makes total sense. Just in the sense of, I see him or her as their crime, not as the human who is actually living in these conditions. How do you balance comedy and the societal value of what you say? Because when you post over 50 hours of your material on YouTube, it ain't all just going to be about fun, right? There are people who go there, they do get information. I've learned things from you. How do you balance the funny with the real life?
But at the end of the day, I'm doing a show for people who came to laugh, so I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is the funniest version of everything that I've been thinking about, and the funniest way to cover the topic that I've chosen. But then on top of that will just be things that I find interesting. And so it's not so much me sort of weighing one way or the other, ooh, what's the most impactful thing I can say on top of the funniest thing I can say? It's more like, what do I find engaging and interesting about this? And then what do I find funny about it? Mm-hmm. And then I've been very blessed that the result is people enjoying what I do.
Hey, Josh, man, I gotta ask you, with that voice, I'm not comfortable with you saying nigga. Do you use the word nigga?
It is indeed rare. You know, I have said it in life, but only when pushed.
A or hard R?
Always A. The fact that you would even ask me if I do a hard R is insane.
Because you don't speak in slang.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes.
When?
Yeah, sometimes. I'll be like, you know,
if you a gun, you're gonna pull the trigger.
Yeah, but that's a gun. This is a different thing now. You can't just apply it broad. You can't just put a broad brush stroke. This is like the handshake thing. I say it sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's rare. Or I'll if it's said in the music, I'll say it.
Are people in your crowd comfortable when you have said it though?
No, I think they'd be pretty shocked. Look, in the past, I've done all types of jokes, and I try to talk about everything and everything like that. So I have cursed, but I don't know, I just don't really curse often. So then I think that would even be more out of like left field. Like the last time I did it, it definitely sucked the air out of the room. But that was actually the intention because I was saying it the way it was said when it was said nasty. I don't know if y'all saw that video. There's an incredible video. It actually feels like it sums up a lot of the American experience. It's this guy. This is back when the Popeyes chicken sandwich had come out, right? And I'm pretty sure he was in Georgia, all right? And so then this white dude is in there. It's all black people, right? But he's been waiting on a sandwich just like everybody else. And then this guy loses it. Like, lose it enough. Anytime somebody's already recording, you know something crazy happened that is not on camera to start them recording. Because no one just starts recording you. You act crazy, then someone is like, so from the beginning of the video, he's like bucking up at people and everything like that. And then he walks up to the front and he's like, give me my sandwich. And he takes the sandwich and then he turns around and he's like, get out of my way, nigger. And then like bucks up at a couple people. And you hear the person holding the phone go, oh no. And then it cuts to like clearly like 14 seconds later, and he over here folded up in the parking lot like this. And then a couple people, like one dude like punched him, you know what I mean? Like held the bag, like held him on the shoulder like he was about to help him up and punched him again. And then somebody walked off with the bag, and the person holding the phone is like, oh, y'all have to take a sandwich though. Like that's like, And that I talked about that in a set because I was talking about how I feel like when I saw that video, I don't know, it just feels like a summing up of what a lot of people go through and just like what people feel like retribution is on a scale, whether it's like any minority group, but like especially like racial, because I think there's a feeling and a projection that people have who like, you know from even being in the South, it's like, there are some people who very weirdly want a race war. Like they've been like getting ready for it their entire life. And so then, even if you meet this person in debate or you're having a conversation with this person, they'll be like, a good example is like when you talk about police brutality or something, right? And they'll be like, well, the cops killed this white dude, that didn't get news coverage. I guess you don't care about that. And then I'll be like, no, that is also bad. Yes. That's also very bad. And actually, if you were to implement all the things that we're talking about, that person would also be safer as well. So no, and it's like, I think they expect you to be like, no, I'm glad the white dude died because a black dude died. And it's like, not. No, that's not what anybody's saying at all. And so seeing that clip was kind of like, as wild as this dude was acting, and as much as some people took it upon themselves to like handle him,
shouldn't take his sandwich.
There was still a level of like, all right, but he did wait for the sandwich.
There was some decor. So I do have a question for you. When your identity was stolen on the date, did you talk about it to your date?
Nah.
Were you like, hey, don't order that, my identity's stolen, I might have to cut my card off?
No. So she didn't know, and I genuinely was just pressed the entire time, hoping that she would. Like, I was more of a hope than it was a conversation. You know what I mean? Because I was able to get the card run and everything, and the card was actually on for like a little while longer. But the whole time I was just like, I hope she's full.
So what made you pick up the phone at the table? Like, you're on a date, your phone rings, it's your bank. How did you even know to pick the phone up, though?
Well, she went to the bathroom, so I wasn't even really thinking about it. I was sitting there by myself anyway, and then my phone rings, and I'm like, oh, yeah. This is before, like, I feel like 10 years ago, you didn't have as many robocalls. So 10 years ago, you go back all the way to 2015, most of the people calling you did want to talk to you. Right. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know this number, but something must. And it may have even said Chase in the ID. It may have even said like Chase Inc. or something like that in the ID. And so I pick it up, and then problems.
And they say somebody's stealing, and you're on a date. You had this backup card, some cash?
No, not at all. So I didn't have it like that when I moved to New York at all. Like, basically every time I've moved has been kind of by, not quite the skin of my teeth, but almost. Like, when I moved from Louisiana to Chicago, it's not like I had much money. And then when I moved from Chicago to New York, I had saved up a little bit, but it's not like I had much money. And so I went on this date, and I don't know, I feel like I was just excited to, like, connect with somebody and sit and like talk with a person and everything. Like I felt like maybe there was some potential here, but I was just excited to have a date, right? And so then I get the phone call while she's in the bathroom, and it's like, now that I'm older, I would have known not to pick up, because the bank never calls you for good news. A bank has never called me like, there's more in there than you thought.
Right.
Anytime a bank calls, it's a problem, you know? So I should have known by picking up, this isn't gonna be great. And then I pick up the phone and they're like, hey, are you like currently purchasing like ski equipment in Arizona? Which is already like too specific of a question. And I was like, no, I live in New York. I used to live in Chicago, but I moved here. And then they were like, oh, then there's fraudulent activity. We're gonna have to shut off your card. And I was like, well, I'm on a date right now. Can you let them steal for 30 more minutes? Please. And then she's like, well, now that you've told me that there's fraudulent activity, I actually can't let. And I was like, ma'am, please. It's going all right. Cause I'm not gonna lie to the lady. It's not like it was a great date or anything like that. It's just general conversation and everything. But I was just like, please, you know? And then she's like, as I've stated before, blah, blah, blah. And as she's talking, now I'm just trying to keep her talking. And because I'm trying to get the server's attention. So I'm like, go ahead. And then I hand him the card. I'm like, run it now. Now. And I'm like, yeah, you do what you gotta do. I understand and everything. And then she was nice enough to leave it on for like a little bit longer. But woof, that was terrible.
Could you imagine, Chan, Fred, your date get back to the table and you like, say, boo, like you're gonna have to pay for this food because somebody stole my identity and they buying ski equipment in Arizona.
Also, the fact that I was me before you went to the bathroom, and now I'm like, hey, actually, a lot has happened since you've been gone. There's not gonna be a second date. You know what I mean? There's no way. And so, you know, I had like a little bit of cash, but the card was, one of the worst times though, was I was trying to get money out of the ATM and I had $19.98. And so it
Total?
Yeah, total. So it was all trapped. There was nothing I could do except look at the balance. Because you need at least, because sometimes your bank will let you overdraw, but then the overdraw wasn't worth it, because the overdraw is over here. This would have been like 2013 when this happened, but the overdraw is like $5 in and of itself. So you would need 2 cents to not have 5. Just some of the saddest word problems you could imagine. It's terrible.
Do your dates usually make you feel big or small?
My dates, I feel like, okay, I like people who like me. So I'm, you know what I mean? That's always been my policy. I'm like, you like me? Wow.
Come on with it.
We're going on a date, you know what I mean? And so I've been with my girlfriend now for years. So we've been together for 8 years.
What was that first date like?
It was not quite ideal because I was late.
You don't say.
Yeah. I was a little bit late because I was writing at Fallon at the time, and that day that I'm supposed to have the date, Jimmy wanted to have an all-hands meeting. And so the all-hands meeting was gonna be after taping. And I was still like, oh, I'll be fine, you know what I mean? Then, like, we keep waiting, and I'm like, oh no. So then I'm trying to communicate. I'm like texting her like, hey, I'm still at work, this thing's happening, right? And then we finally meet up, and then the restaurant that we were supposed to go to is like very full, but it's not full in like, oh, I didn't make a reservation, something like that. It wasn't like a reservation type place. It's full in like a New York way, where it's like, unless you want to eat while having somebody's shoulder in your chest, you don't eat in here. And so we went around the corner, got some pizza, and that was an amazing date. And then we walked for quite a while and just were talking and everything and just connected that way.
You're a great storyteller, even going back to Catfish and the Clan.
Oh, thanks,
White
man.
people and their pets. I think that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Talking about he got hit by a bat.
Yeah.
the wildest story while on the Loud and Clear tour with you and Trevor, Trevor Noah, can you share anything with us?
Yeah, there was a time where I was supposed to be opening for Trevor. I think it was either in Utah and I landed in Ohio, or it was like a vice versa thing. But I go to the airport, not late, on the plane, everything, but I had a connection, right? Now, I'm a person who I can sleep easy on the plane, and so as soon as I sit down, I fall asleep. And I wake up, and they're still de-icing the plane, because basically they've gone back and forth between, is air traffic control gonna allow them to go? Then they gotta de-ice the plane, and back and forth, back and forth. So I've been asleep 2 hours, and we're still sitting there. So now I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna miss my connection, right? So then we finally take off, we land. Of course, I've missed my connection by like half an hour. And so I'm running to the help desk, trying to get some help and get on the next flight. They tell me to go to whatever gate. I go to that gate, and they're like, all right, we may have one seat, but they basically have to put me on standby because the flight is full. So then the woman at the gate is like, you about to get on. You're fine. It's gonna be great. Because there's a whole plane of people that was just like you that had this same connection, and it looks like their plane just landed. I don't think they're gonna make it across the airport in time, so you're gonna get on. Like giving full assurances. And so then I'm waiting for boarding and everything, and I'm standing confident. I'm like, chill now. I've even texted the team being like, hey, hiccups, but God is good. We're on the way, everything, just overconfident. Then I'm sitting there and I see almost like, remember Home Alone? Remember when they were running for the plane because they were late? Home Alone, I think it was Lost in New York, right? The second one, where the whole family running. That's what it looked like, because there's all these, I think they might have been Scandinavian, but all of these Scandinavians start running up to the gate like, we're here. And I'm like, oh no, because it was like 15 people. So I went from being comfortably on the flight, most likely, to like, now I might not get on. And then they turn around and they're all talking, they're like, where's Jeff? Where's Jeff? Like somebody in their party has fallen behind. But then they're like, oh, this is final call. So like, unless Jeff is here, we're gonna have to take off. And I'm like, yeah, unless Jeff is here,
Josh got
everybody has to get on the flight and everything. And then she's literally about to change it over, and then this guy runs up, I'm here. And I'm like, okay, all right, so not on this flight, and the next flight won't get me there in time. So then I just run outside. I'm like, I'm gonna have to Uber. It's like, a 5-6 hour Uber, but I could still make it. I could make it right at showtime if I take an Uber now, right? And I start ordering the Ubers, and then whenever I get a ride, whenever somebody picks me up, I call them to be like, hey, will you go to Ohio with me? Like, because it doesn't show them anymore. Yeah. And so I want to give the people a chance to be like, yes, no, whatever, right? And so 3 people cancel on me back to back after I tell them. And then I get matched. It's this lady, and especially because it's like it's a different situation for like a woman to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go. And you don't want people to not feel safe. I call her as well. I'm like, hey, look, this is gonna be a pretty big fare because I have to get to Ohio or wherever I was going. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm down.
I think your voice is comforting as well. Like, you don't sound.
That's true. If I had more bass, she probably wouldn't have taken me.
Yeah, like
that. I can see that now.
Yeah, she's like, I can take him.
Yeah, and honestly, whenever I have like a tiny cold, do get a little bit more nasally. You know what I mean? Like if it's allergy season, I'm gonna be a pitch higher.
Did you make it to the show?
I did make it to the show, but while we were in the car, okay, so we're in the car, we take off, and then even Uber's like, you're gonna just make it, right? So then I'm texting the team, I'm like, I'm just gonna make it, like literally, like about time is when I'll be there. So then we're in the car, and maybe 10 minutes in, she's like, ooh, let me also call my boyfriend because I now won't be home till later, whatever. And then she calls him, but he on speakerphone. And so then she's like, hey, I'm just driving to Ohio, like I want you to, let you know and everything. And he's like, what? What? No, what, you going to Ohio, with who? And she's like, I got a passenger, and he needs to go to Ohio, and it's a pretty good fare. And he's like, no, what are you doing? And then they start fighting. And so now in my head, I'm like, yeah, she probably gonna drop me off here. They start arguing back and forth, and she's like, you never let me do anything or whatever. And I was just sitting there, felt like a kid with your parents fighting, because he's like, he's going back and forth with her. And then it was just stuff came out about like the relationship, like not a lot of it, but just you could tell there was some tension before this call.
They'd have been in some beef.
It had been some beef. And so now, and then she's like, well, you're on speakerphone. And he got a little quiet, and he was like,
But didn't you say, if somebody calls you on speakerphone, that should be your last name?
Yeah.
Josh, you on speakerphone?
I wanted to let him know he was on speakerphone as soon as he started in, I just wanted to be like, sir, you're on speakerphone. Like, I knew he was having this conversation because he thought she had the phone in her hand, right? And so then they have an argument. She hangs up. He calls back later, cooled off a little bit, and apologizes, And then from there, we make it right on time, 7 o'clock. So it was a day.
Like you said, your internet wormhole is crazy because you have so much content of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're a funny dude. Even telling that story, and even like we're over here dying, do you make an effort not to laugh? You know punchlines. You know you're doing comedy. Do you make an effort not to laugh? Because you hit your punchlines and you just look around like nothing going on?
Sometimes I can recognize that something's like humorous, but it is not funny to me because it's just what happened, if that makes sense. So it's like, there are some times where I've definitely laughed before. Like, a good example is like, when sometimes something will happen in the news, and it is so crazy that even if I'm relaying what happened or I'm giving my like context on top of what happened, something will still like get you, right? And for me, one of the best examples was there was a lady on TikTok who found a rug like buried in her backyard, like a rolled up rug buried under a tree. And then she was like, I think I have ghosts. It was a whole weird thing. But then everybody in the comments was like, ma'am, this is a body. This is 100% a body. Right. And it cracked me up so much because at first she was like, y'all, it's not a body. And I'm like, you think it's a ghost. You think you're haunted. And then people are telling you that it's a body. And you're like, no, there's no way it would be a body just because I'm haunted. Is one of the funniest things to me, because it's like, you need a body to have a ghost.
Somebody got to die.
Yeah. And so the fact that she had this rolled up rug buried under a tree, someone rolled up a rug, buried it, and then planted a tree over it, and you don't think that's a body.
Is that funnier than the girl on TikTok that looks like you?
The girl on TikTok that looks like me. Okay.
And she had the...
Yes, I remember this now. Okay. The woman on TikTok who does...
it's Talon or something.
Yeah, does look like me. I remember when the TikTok was made because my mom called me. Because my mom also thinks she looks like me. And my mom was like, I swear I only had one baby. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things where you watch a TikTok like that and you realize the mannerisms you have, because when someone does an impression of you, even if it's like a little bit exaggerated, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that much for like another person to pick up on it. Like this thing, didn't realize I did this a lot. This is a big one. Also the nodding, I suppose.
You guys did the skit on The Daily Show. You're all lined up, the blue suits, red ties, and you guys are talking about being censored, right, and the president. And there's this unison of, no, we're not being censored. Everything's great. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
You write for The Daily Show, you be correspondent, you're a host now, you'll be hosting next week. When you guys come up with those things, what are the conversations like before you actually roll out a skit like that?
I've been very blessed to be part of the writer's room and those morning meetings and everything where a lot of people give a lot of people end up giving context to something where maybe you're just watching a news story or you have your own specific take on it, but then through conversation, you're able to, one, find out things you didn't know about the subject, because everybody's on like a different corner of the internet, you know? And then on top of that, you're able to run your ideas out loud by people, because sometimes you'll think something is killer. Sometimes you'll think something is the funniest thing you've ever said. You'll be like, this, ooh, it'll be like first day of school clothes. You're like, where you're like, ew, they're not ready. They're not ready. And then you show up and everyone's like, okay.
Have you ever had an idea like that you thought was really good?
Many. I'm struggling to remember one now on the spot, but it does happen, because I feel like so much of comedy is just like trying things, and just like literally the feedback is the laugh. So if people don't get the joke or people don't like the joke, maybe it's not for that person, or maybe you need to make an adjustment, but the whole thing is supposed to be malleable, you know? So being in the writer's room ahead of time, writing with people, going over things with people, that's the stuff that lets you know really where you're at, you know?
And you're coming up on 10 years now in New York. I think
Yeah.
that's extremely cool, you know, to move from Alexandria, Louisiana to Chicago, and now to here. I love your address, because I want to give you a gift. You know, here in the Pivot, we like to give people gifts. I like to know your Croc size,
Oh,
because I know that's a shoe you feel is very, very malleable to New York.
it is not. You gotta stay away from Crocs here. Like, look, here's the thing about Crocs, all right? You in a beachy town, live, do it. You know what I mean? Be breathable, be comfortable. But here, this is I say this as someone who very much enjoys and loves New York, but I'm not like so in love with it that I'm willing to lie about it. This is a nasty place. There's like a lot of gross stuff is on the street. I thought I had smelled all the smells. I thought as a grown man, I had smelled every mixture of smell. But then you'll be here in the summer and you'll be like, that's a whiff of something new. That's what hell smells like, you know? And so the idea already that you would be in some sort of sandal wear, that you would have loose foot on the New York street is insane. And so then you'll get people with Crocs be like, no, it's different because like it covers most of the foot. I'm like, show me the piece of the foot you would like for the bird poop to land on. Let that piece be out then. If that's who you are, if that's your life, then like show me where on the foot you don't care about, because that's the part that'll be affected. You know? Yeah. Because even like I was talking to my friend about the drip, the like that New York mystery drip that'll hit you and you don't know what it is. That's terrifying. That could already happen on your head. Your feet are next to the ground. Some of the nastiest ground in the United States is here. Some of the nastiest, you step it on trash. We put our trash in the street. One of the oldest cities in the United States, and we're still like, yeah, throw it anywhere. That's fine.
I'm just more scared of the rats than anything, though.
Easily, though. So you got your 3 different types of New York rats as far as like coming in like human contact, right? You got your fast rat. That's the rat that's gonna like run across your foot or whatever. You got your slow rat. That rat's been poisoned. That's a sick rat. Doesn't know where he is right now. Usually when the lights come on or the people show up, rats have the presence of mind to like get up out of here, right? Like even if there was a rat in this room right now, it would run along the wall and it would find a crack, it would go in that crack, right? These rats don't do that. These rats are they come up to you with that spare change attitude. They come up to you with that, hey, you got something for me, right? And then the third rat just knows he's built different. Third rat built like kind of a cat, you know what I mean? Like got a big back and everything. Doesn't even try to run. There's a video online of a big old rat eating a pigeon. Nothing's ever made me want a gun more then the possibility of running into a rat that big, that's also still spry, that like also, because the pigeon was minding its own business and the rat came and the pigeon tried to fly away and the rat was like, where you going? Took him back down, right? All that's out here. So you got brave rats, you got sick rats, and then you got the scurrying rats. Your feet are a shoe's depth away from all those rats. So Crocs are unacceptable.
Rat that.
Yeah.
So we always ask our guest, Josh, what's their biggest pivot in life? That's the one moment you can look back on and say, because this happened to me or for me, I am who I am today.
Honestly, like career-wise, getting that job at Fallon really like started it all. That was my first like industry job, and you could say that it like was the first door that led to the other doors being open. But because I don't use the pivot of not engaging with my degree more, because I feel like that's something that happens to a lot of people, whether they want it or not.
Right.
It's like you go to school for a certain thing and then you get out of school and that thing is not hiring. So I feel like that's a pivot a lot of people make, and I got to make it into something I really wanted to do anyway. But yeah, that job at Fallon really kicked off everything, because then it led to eventually me having my first late night spot, which was Fallon, and then like now I'm at The Daily Show and have been for a long time. So yeah, I think those moments like happening for and people taking a chance on you and stuff like that, it just has such a ripple effect, you know?
When did you realize you were funny? Because so I'm around Channing all the time. He is a very obviously funny person, right? Like I know when he's trying to be funny, right? I know when he thinks something is funny. I don't know when you think something is funny.
Yeah.
You don't, and I don't see you, and I mean this as respectfully as possible, as the big crowd, lots of friends person.
Got you.
That would be like, this dude is entertaining for all of us.
Yeah.
He is.
No, I'm with you.
So when were you like, man, you know what I could do? Comedy.
He did put it in the most hurtful way possible, though. Like it was, you didn't have to include the friends.
You ain't got no friends.
You could have just said crowd. Like it's like you could have just said I'll see you as the life of the party. There's so many ways to say I'll see you having a lot of like people around you that want to be there or anything. Like you don't seem like a big friends person, which is a way lengthier way to say loser. That's crazy.
What's your answer,
You don't seem like a big friends individual, you know? You know how some people have like friends and girlfriends. You seem more like a book by himself type of guy.
Jan, I didn't.
You don't look like you have many friends.
No, I wasn't.
Friends is wild.
You doubled down.
Yeah.
He doubled down on the respectfully as I possibly can.
Look, I want to put this in the most respectful, because this is what I thought he was going to say. I thought he was going to, because I haven't heard this my entire life, even when I started doing comedy, that because I'm like quiet in life and because I have like a meekness about my demeanor and stuff, people just don't think I would do comedy, because they're like, I always imagine someone who does comedy as someone who is like very extroverted and like super outspoken all the time, and you just don't seem that way. And I'm not expecting you to read my mind, but Friends is wild.
Okay, so
Friends is amazing.
I know the show has to end.
Oh, okay,
right?
my bad,
But I
my
will
bad.
say this.
Yeah.
I was doing the thing, right? Here's the thing. You do a ton of research on a person, right? And you hear that person say something, or you read something about that person, and they may actually say, hey, listen, growing up, I wasn't like, I had friends. I didn't have a ton of them, right? You know, I had like 5 friends, which is something he said.
Yeah.
Now, I could phrase the question and go, you have said you only had 5 friends. You weren't a person that had a big group of friends. But then I'm just repeating what he said. So then when you ask the question, you ask it in a way as if you didn't know that he said this. And then he makes fun of you.
No. I'm with you. Listen, I appreciate you being professional and doing your research, all that stuff. But even in rewording what I said, you found the most hurtful way to do it. You know what I mean? Imagine I do a story about like a breakup I had, and then my man's over here like, so a lot of women leave you. It's like, but no, to answer your question and to be fair, yes, that is like, I'm pretty like, pretty much like a homebody if like left up to my devices. All the things that I like are like, kind of like nerdy type things and everything. Like I love comic books. I'm trying to get better at a Rubik's Cube and stuff. So it's like, I feel like, yeah, I don't put out the type of personality that you would see as someone who's like, oh, this guy's like hilarious and this guy's gonna do comedy. So I think the things that I find funny and the things that I find value in, I try to share as best as possible. And then my entire time doing comedy has been me trying to get better at that. And one of the things it may be one of the things I'm the most proud of is that we're building community at the shows and online with people who engage with what I do out of people who have very little in common. Like you know, when you go to the show, it's so nice to have like, you know, multi-generations at the show. Like there's been meet and greets that I've done sometimes where like the kids, the mom and the grandma all came because they all liked a different video and they all liked a different thing that I did, and that means a lot to me. And then even people who do things that I really admire but don't do myself find value in, I guess, how I describe what they do. So then I get to meet people who like who don't have any sort of the same background to me or anything like that. And so that's been my goal for a long time, is being able to make as much comedy as I can for everybody, so everybody feels welcome and has a good time, you know? Like I do my best to portray the things that I even wish that I could do with both like a level of like humor and respect to the point where the person that does that thing enjoys it. You know what I mean? Like I don't play football at all, and I've tried to play football. Like I've given it a real shot, and I talk about it on stage about how like in that sport they hit every time. And it's like sometimes I would get up, as a kid, I'd get up and be like, you knew I didn't have the ball. You knew I didn't have, you know what I mean? Because I went like this before you tackled me.
You showed your
So
hands?
that, yeah, easily. Hey, not me, get him.
Well, this is the show. That was The Pivot with Josh Johnson. And I would say this, the Flowers Tour, y'all check it out. So much more to get into, the things he's doing to help teachers around the country in every spot he pops up in. Check out his YouTube page. And if you're going to sit with him or interview him, just basically quote him, because if not, you'll be made fun of.
I'm not saying you did anything wrong. It's just the Friends is the friend. You don't seem like a big Friends or in the middle of the crowd guy. You know,
Whoop his ass.
I wish I could. You know what I mean?
Hey, Malik, hey, I really tried to phrase that in like the best way possible.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Very appreciate
I'm
you,
just
fam.
joking.
Oh, no, it was great. No, that's a perfect thing.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.